Lisa Lepke of ProWriting Aid and I have gotten together to chat about editing. Today, we're talking about the different types of editing.
The first question that came in was all about process, and it was about should you do your copy editing or your story editing first. And so I just wondered, well, in answering that question, can you talk a little bit about the different kinds of editing and then how they all fit together in one big process?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. It's a big question, and one that I'm actually strongly opinionated on, that, it's a really long journey to write your book from that very first word to publishing it. And if you can do things that will save you time in the process, great. And also it makes, if you do a better job. So the different types of editing, there's story editing, which is what Fictionary Storyteller helps you with. And story editing is looking at your story. It's not looking at the paragraphs, the words, sentence structure, etc. We don't copy edit at this point. What we're looking at is, does your story flow from one scene to the next? Does your story arc work? Are your characters doing the most for you? Are you using the settings to your best advantage in the story? And so it's looking at the higher level aspects of your story to get a super strong story. Copy editing is the next phase, where what you want to do is be looking at your words and your sentences. And you're all ProWriting Aid people, so you all know exactly copy editing, where you're looking at, your repeated words, you're looking at grammatical errors, you're looking at wasted words like very that don't do much, and all those kinds of things. So if you do that too early in the process, it's kind of wasted work, in the sense that you're going to rewrite and revise as you're doing your story edit. And it's okay to do a little bit. And honestly, I do a little bit as I'm writing, because sometimes I don't have the creative energy to write, but I still want to be productive, and copying is kind of fun. So you go, oh, I'm just going to copy edit this. So fine, it's good practice. So if you go from story editing to copy editing, proofreading is next. And this is where I find sometimes it's unclear what that is. But by the time you're proofreading, or you're having your manuscript professionally proofread, it means that person is looking for typos and errors. They're not making suggestions on any kind of rewording or better phrasing or structural changes. It's only looking for errors. So a typo, comma in the wrong place, etc. That's it, before you go off to publish your book. So there's other kind of little flavors in between of editing, but those are the three biggies. Does that answer that question, Lisa?
Yeah, I think it does, and I think that order makes a lot of sense. I know some people, everybody has a bit of a cycle of writing, then revision, and then writing, and then revision. And some people do that, they write all day and revise the next morning. That's what Jerry Jenkins does. We've had him on here a few times. Other people write a lot more. Some people write their full draft, if you're doing NaNoWriMo or something like that, and then go back and start editing. But it's all sort of the same cycle at just different lengths. The thing that somebody was saying to me the other day, though, is that they for people that have a shorter cycle, if they spend a lot of time editing their first chapter without really seeing their full story all the way through to the end, then quite often you end up going back and getting rid of your chapter, or making major changes to your chapter, right, or losing a whole character, for example. And so then you've sort of wasted some of your time. So I think it's a weighing up of those two things, isn't it?
To help you remember everything Lisa and I talked about, I'm going to leave you with a list of what is story editing, copy editing, and proofreading. Feel free to take a screenshot of this. Happy editing.